The psychology of credit cards. All right, let's get right into this explainer. We're going to uncover exactly why your brain is currently running ancient hunter-gatherer software inside a highly weaponized, incredibly modern financial system. Because look, if you've ever felt like you're just fundamentally broken when it comes to managing your money, I have a massive secret for you. You aren't. Your brain is actually doing exactly what it was programmed to do millions of years ago. It's just that, well, it hasn't really received a software update for the era of plastic and Apple Pay. So we're going to explore the psychology of credit cards and see how a simple, rectangular piece of plastic literally alters your reality.
So when was the last time you avoided checking your bank account? Come on, be honest with yourself here. You know that exact feeling, right? That familiar kind of cold dread creeping up the back of your neck when you actually have to look at your financial reality. It's honestly a lot like checking the scale after a huge holiday weekend. We have absolutely all been there. But why do we do this? Why do incredibly intelligent, rational people suddenly turn into ostriches, just burying their heads in the sand the very moment a credit card bill is due?
Well, take a look at this. On the left, we've got Eric saying, it's only $1,200 a month. And on the right, Sarah is thinking, but I make good money. This brilliantly illustrates our behavioral money universe. Take Eric, for instance. He loves status spending. He finances his entire lifestyle pretty much just to impress his friend FOMO Dave. Eric's favorite catchphrase? It's only $1,200 a month. He doesn't even see the total cost. He literally only sees the monthly payment. And then there's Sarah. Now, Sarah is highly educated, she makes fantastic money, but she's completely trapped in this cycle of profound financial anxiety. She's constantly wondering, but I make good money, where does it all go? Both Eric and Sarah are incredibly smart people, yet they both suffer from the exact same psychological blind spot. Which brings us to a really crucial question. Why do smart people make terrible decisions with plastic? The core belief we absolutely need to establish today is that humans are not inherently bad with money. You are not bad with money. What's actually happening is that you're playing a game where the rules were explicitly designed by corporate psychologists to exploit your human nature. So every single time you swipe, tap, or click buy now, your brain just made another terrible financial decision. And it's not because you're weak, it's because you're human. To understand why, we really need to meet our first psychological villain.
Pain of paying. The emotional friction and literal psychological pain experienced when parting with physical resources. Now, this isn't just some cute metaphor. Behavioral economists and neuroscientists have actually put people in fMRI machines and watched their brains when they hand over physical cash. And it's wild. When you physically hand over a crisp $100 bill, the pain centers in your brain, like the exact same regions that light up when you stub your toe or get a nasty paper cut, they actually activate. Your brain perceives the loss of physical resources as a literal threat to your survival. So that emotional friction acts as a natural braking system. It makes you pause and ask, wait, do I really need this? But credit cards, they act as an anesthetic. They surgically remove every ounce of that friction.
And that brings us to our second psychological villain, present bias. This is the tendency to overvalue immediate rewards while completely ignoring long-term consequences. From an evolutionary standpoint, this actually makes perfect sense. Think about it. If you were a caveman and you found a berry, you ate it immediately before a bear could get it. Planning for your retirement portfolio wasn't exactly a survival trait back then. But today, present bias means your brain will always prioritize today's dopamine hit, like buying that shiny new gadget, over the financial stability of the person you're going to become 10 years from now. You deserve it. Oh, the classic line from the marketing gremlin. The system knows exactly how to exploit this bias. You absolutely know this voice. You've had a long week, you're exhausted, you're mindlessly scrolling on your phone at 11 p.m., and the marketing gremlin just whispers, you deserve it. Treat yourself. The gremlin doesn't care about your emergency fund, it doesn't care about your 401k. The gremlin just wants you to swipe that frictionless little piece of plastic. It perfectly leverages your present bias against you, basically wrapping a terrible financial decision in this warm, comforting blanket of self-care. Just think about why our friend Eric financed a $3,000 couch on his credit card. Look at this breakdown. 5% of the reason was that he actually needed a place to sit. The other 95%, pure status spending to impress Dave when he comes over for game night. Now, if Eric had to use cash, the actual physical pain of losing $3,000 would instantly outweigh his desire to impress Dave. But with a credit card, Eric gets all that sweet social status dopamine today and defers all the pain to this magical, abstract time called later. So here is the absolutely crucial mindset shift you need to make. You aren't buying things. You are renting money. A credit card is not a magic wand of purchasing power. It's honestly just an incredibly high-interest rental agreement for cash that you do not possess. Every single time you leave a balance on that card, you are literally paying rent to a bank for the privilege of keeping Eric's couch in your living room. The plastic simply hides this reality, so it makes you feel wealthy while it systematically drains your actual net worth. $8,427. I want you to just sit with that number for a second. That is the true compounded cost of a simple $3,000 purchase if you only make the minimum payments on an average credit card with a 20% interest rate. You didn't pay $3,000 for that couch. You paid over $8,000. And guys, this is the exact math the system relies on. It heavily relies on the fact that your human brain cannot intuitively calculate compound interest. Compound interest, when it's working against you, is like a snowball rolling down a steep hill, just getting larger and heavier every single month. Seriously? Yeah, that's a direct quote from future you. This brings us to the most tragic character in our entire universe. Future you is the one who actually has to pay the bill. While present you got the quick dopamine hit of a new purchase, future you is now stuck carrying a massive backpack full of bricks, which is your debt, up a very, very steep hill. And all future you can say, looking back at the decisions you made today just to impress Dave, is, seriously? Because of present bias, we literally view our future selves as strangers. We don't feel empathy for them, so we just gladly burden them with our high-interest debt. This system isn't broken. It's designed to hack your dopamine. I really need you to hear this loud and clear. You haven't been failing at personal finance. Congratulations, you've just been psychologically manipulated. The credit card system is functioning exactly as it was designed to. It was meticulously engineered by experts to hack your dopamine receptors, bypass your biological pain of paying, and exploit your present bias. They desperately want you focused on shiny rewards points and cashback so that you completely ignore the 24% APR that's quietly eating away at your financial freedom. So how do we build actual psychological armor against all this? Let's recap. First off, you are not bad with money, you are just human. Second, your brain actively avoids the pain of paying, which makes you super vulnerable to frictionless spending. Third, plastic fundamentally hides the emotional cost of a purchase. And finally, the absolute most important takeaway here, awareness is your psychological armor. Literally just knowing that the marketing gremlin is actively trying to bypass your pain receptors gives you the power to hit pause, step back, and calculate the true cost of renting that money. Congratulations, you've just become slightly harder to scam. I love that. By simply understanding the mechanics of the pain of paying and present bias, you've leveled up. You now know that the next time you feel that urge to swipe your card for a luxury you can't really afford right now, it's not actually you making a rational choice. It's just your ancient software glitching out in a modern casino. So use this armor. Start building friction back into your spending. Try calculating things in terms of hours worked, rather than just looking at the monthly minimum payment. Next up, why rich people drive boring cars. Now, if you thought the psychology of plastic was manipulative, wait until we look at the psychology of the driveway. Why is it that the wealthiest people in society often drive the most astonishingly average, boring vehicles, while people like Eric are out there financing luxury cars they can barely afford? We're going to unpack that incredible paradox of wealth and status signaling next time. But until then, I want to leave you with this question. The next time you pull out that plastic, are you buying a product or are you just buying a quick hit of dopamine? Keep your armor on, and I'll see you in the next explainer.